But the main thing that I wanted to rant about today, there's a couple things that I wanted to rant about today. The main thing I want to rant about today is the news. Hillary Clinton is going to be giving a speech on economic policy. And if it happens to coincide with this program, we will carry part of it so that you can get a sense of what she's talking about. And I would guess that most Americans know. They know that Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton support LGBT rights, support a woman's right to choose an abortion, support separation of church and state, support tax fairness, support loosening our drug laws, shall we say, support health care for all, support ending Citizens United and getting money out of elections, support infrastructure expansions. And I could go through a list. I've got about 25 other topics here, but most people know where the progressives and Democrats, in this case, Jill Stein and Hillary Clinton, where they stand on the issues. I would be willing to bet that most people don't know where Republicans and particularly libertarians stand on the issues. And I think that there's a reason for this. Yesterday, some people on Twitter have watched it and Facebook and whatnot. Yesterday on RT, I debated very briefly. I mean, it was a little 8-minute segment or a 12-minute segment with Lindsey France, who's a great host, and I think I blindsided her. I feel badly about that, but I just can't let libertarians get away with their BS. And the setup was, here's all the areas where liberals and libertarians think the same. They want to decriminalize drugs and decriminalize prostitution and stop corporate welfare, and which actually is not true in the case of libertarians, but or at least libertarian practices. But in any case, went through this list. And then, I came on and started pointing out that libertarians, I had a libertarian on that I was debating, right? This guy from Arizona. And I said, libertarians want to end public schools. He wouldn't address it. Libertarians want to end public roads. His response was, well, we've had private roads, for years. And I was like, public roads are in the Constitution, Article 1, Section 8. George Washington built public roads. This is all American. Now, libertarians don't believe in this. Libertarians don't want to just, do away with Social Security. They want to hand it off to the banksters on Wall Street. Because, hey, if you can't make a buck off something, what's the value of it? And I think that if not the host being surprised by these facts about libertarian policy, and they go on and on. I mean, I've gone through this on this program a number of times. Most people who watch this program regularly know well libertarian philosophy. But the libertarians, particularly Gary Johnson and Bill Weld, have done a marvelous job of just totally blowing smoke at people. Talking about, well, it's my body is my body and my personal liberty, and the government has no right to take away from me and give to other people. And all of those are slogans. But when you translate them into policy, what it means is no more unemployment insurance, no more mortgage insurance, no more FDIC protection of your checking account, because we're going to deregulate the banks after all. No, more poison in your air because we're going to deregulate the refineries. More poison in your water because we're going to deregulate the paper plants and other major polluters. More chemistry that might kill you and cause cancer because we're going to deregulate the chemical industry, which is largely deregulated to begin with. So, I'm making this kind of more complex than it needs to be, but I suppose. But the bottom line is that the libertarian philosophy is largely unknown to most Americans. They have no idea. This was my complaint about the libertarian town hall that CNN had. Was the first 15 minutes of it that I watched before I turned it off and discussed. Anderson Cooper didn't ask a single damn question about policy impacts of their worldview. Not one. And I'm of the opinion that the reason why our media will not tell you and me and the American people about the true policies that the Republican Party supports is because the corporate media is Republican. They agree with this stuff. You've got television networks right now that are fighting unionization efforts, that are trying to break their own unions. You think you're going to hear about union rights and card check? Have you even heard the phrase card check in the last 5 years? You've got media corporations that own, that are, well, in the case of MSNBC and NBC, it's owned by Comcast, I believe the largest internet provider in the country. You think you're going to hear about net neutrality? Not a chance. You've got Anderson Cooper, I mean, he's the heir to the Vanderbilt fortune. He's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You think you're going to hear a conversation about raising taxes on rich people? Or how the libertarians want to eliminate taxes on rich people? It ain't happening. I am just completely sick of the news because it's not news anymore. And I find it fascinating that the media will dutifully report in some small measure, at least. I mean, on policies on the left. Although, frankly, every time Bernie would start talking policy, they'd cut him off. They only wanted to talk horse race. But they never talk about the policy on the right. Fox News doesn't tell the truth about it. But nobody else does either. Our media is not serving us. Our media is serving the oligarchic class. As Jimmy Carter pointed out on this program, America has become an oligarchy featuring unlimited political bribery. Now, this is, the result of a series of Supreme Court decisions, but those Supreme Court decisions didn't come out of nowhere. They were the result of decades of effort by billionaires funding think tanks, and particularly in the legal profession, think tanks that put out this worldview that was adopted by the right-wingers who were put on the Supreme Court by and large, Ronald Reagan. And both Bushes. So what do we do about this? I think we need to go back to the Sherman Act and start breaking up the media, and I think that we need to go back to local control.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
And perhaps most importantly, although the Fairness Doctrine is completely off the books, we need to come back with some sort of law about broadcasting in the public interest.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.